Yeah, so today I want to talk to you about selling excellence. God has called us to excellence, right? It's the thing that, you know, number one, business-wise, I would say God is calling you to. And I think actually a lot of us, oh, we're back, lovely. A lot of us miss out on this point. We sometimes skip over it. And sometimes we can go straight into, I've got this cool idea and just shoot right into it. And then, as you said, Joe, like, you know, you're scrubbing your kitchen floor thinking, I don't want to be doing this. Like, this is terrible. And, you know, I believe what you were saying effectively is I wasn't doing an excellent job. I wasn't doing something that actually made me feel proud, that would make, would make God celebrate what I was doing, because actually what I'm trying to do is for his glory. And yeah, it's a sort of... So yeah, I think the thing I want to concentrate on, I want to help you to sell, but I want to help you to sell excellence. So I just want to focus on that point of excellence today. I want to read from Philippians and just focus on this for a second. So finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. It's excellence. This is what I want to highlight from this today, is excellence. If there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. This is a message for your business. This is a message for your career. This is a message for wherever you are right now. Because actually, I don't want to limit you for the moment to, you know, some of you sat in this room in a career. You don't own a business. You don't run a business. You haven't got to that point yet. Actually, excellence is your life. It's not your business. It's your life. And that's what we've really been talking about today. Gary touched on that earlier on, is don't segment it. It is not business over here and life over here. I think, if you're talking about, leave your work at home, don't leave your work at home, leave your work at work and home at home, like that's different. But excellence, actually, being an excellent parent, being an excellent friend, being an excellent business owner, being an excellent employee, actually this is quite a core thing. To sort of go forward, I want to take you guys back a little bit, and I want to sort of tell you a bit about us, a bit of the sort of story of like where we are now, but actually where we came from. And yeah, basically, so this is a picture of pretty much where it started out. So we've got Kyle sat there working away in a very small office up in Wigan, which was a really terrible place to start business, I'm not going to lie. A tech company or a digital business, if ever you're looking for an attitude of, tech and forward thinking, Wigan is not the place to sort of, decide to do that. But actually that taught me quite a lot. And where we were back then is we started something because I got really frustrated. So I worked for church full time. And actually, the agencies that looked after us, the digital agencies that were looking after us, really didn't treat us well. I don't think they respected us. I don't think they valued our time. I don't think they valued our business. They overcharged us for everything. And that's not talking about, charging the right amount and a good amount. It's actually, I'm just going to charge you for the sake of charging you. That sort of thing. And yeah, it just really frustrated me. And the moment I got a bit of a taste of, doing this thing for myself, I wanted to make that shift. I wanted to be something different to the business world that actually didn't treat clients that way, that didn't operate that way, that didn't treat staff that way, that actually valued everyone from staff to customers. And the thing is, when we started, we actually didn't have a clue about what we were doing. Like, I saw web as an opportunity. We started doing that. We called ourselves Illustrate Media, and we had the idea of we'll do a bit of everything. So we got a couple of design interns in, didn't pay them anything, as you do. But what we did was effectively set up a business that if someone said we need this, we would do it, and we'd go and figure it out. And like actually, in a way, that's a really good principle to have, depending on how you actually execute that. Because the way we were doing it was, we don't have a clue, but we're going to do it anyway. And that's not excellence. And where we needed to shift was, I think for me, I needed a physical shift. I needed to move away from where I lived. I needed to move away from sort of past mentalities, past attitudes, and actually move physically and spiritually and mentally into a place that was going to be a lot more constructive, that was going to be a lot more open, that was going to be a lot more forward-thinking. And so, yeah, this is almost beardless me. Almost cute, isn't it? So we shifted. We moved to Cardiff, a much bigger space. You can see there's lots of light in there. And what we started doing was focusing. We focused what we did more. And what we said is actually this design stuff, this photography, this video, it's not the thing we should be doing. I was the sort of person that if I had an idea, I would just do this other thing over here and do this other thing over here. And at one point I had a business called Startup Creative, and like Kelly Hoppen from Dragon's Den started promoting it on Twitter and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, it got no traction at all. Despite any of that sort of like social media stuff or whatever, it got no traction because I didn't actually have a clue what I was doing. I was just like, here's this other thing. Let's just explore what it is and see, whether that works, whether it doesn't. And actually, what I'd done with this startup creative idea was cheapened what we do and actually gone in reverse from where I was supposed to be going. And so we just shelved all of that stuff. We said, okay, that's aside now, and what we're going to do is focus completely on the platform we develop in. So what we actually do is develop on a platform called WordPress. A lot of you have probably heard of it. It runs something like over 30% of the internet and over 80% of all content-managed websites, so ones that allow you to update your own content effectively. And the interesting thing with that journey is that I was discovering along the way that despite the fact that, it's 30+% of the internet, there's actually very few people out there that just do this and that just specialize in this one platform. And I found that really odd. Like, isn't that an odd thought? And so what we decided to do was say, okay, well, we won't focus on any other platform. We won't focus on this and that and the other that people ask us to do. We're going to focus wholeheartedly on this one platform. And still at that point, excellence wasn't really at the forefront of my mind. It was just, okay, we've got to focus. We're going to do this thing. And the sort of story where we went from and to is actually realizing you don't have to do what everyone else does. And you can build a business that is just this thing. And actually, it's scary because you're actually potentially counting out any other opportunity to do anything else. But it's counterintuitive because if you focus on that thing and you get known for that thing, then that's what people come to you for. It changes your perspective. It changes your marketing. It changes your sales conversations because what you say about who you are and what you do becomes exactly that thing and not, oh, we'll do whatever you ask us to do. But actually, if you ask us to do this thing, we'll do it to the absolute best of our ability. And today, where we are, we've got an amazing team based in Cardiff. And actually, we have got pretty amazing clients as well. And to sort of say that we went from a place where we were just, yeah, it's pretty cool. To say we were going from a place where we would do anything for anyone to we do this thing for particular businesses, particular individuals. Like, the difference in that is we used to sell to a local estate agent, and that would be the website we would build, and we would get maybe, a couple of grand for that job. And, like a local catering company, that sort of thing. And actually, I'm going to be honest with you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing work for local businesses. There's nothing wrong with doing work for small or anything like that. It's about the heart with which you do it. And what the change in our heart allowed us to do, and the shift in me allowed us to do, was actually say, we're going to provide something absolutely excellent so that instead of working for estate agents, we can build websites for banks. And that's a totally different thing, right? Because we have got a technical product. So building a website for a bank is a very different process to building a website for an estate agent, as you can probably imagine. There's a lot of security involved. There's a lot of compliance involved. And I just want to, make the point that the only way you can get to that point is through excellence. Because there is absolutely no way that you're going to walk through the doors of a bank and that bank say, yes, that's absolutely fine, you can build a website for us, unless your attitude is absolutely of excellence. You don't even get to walk through the doors of the building, let alone have the conversation, without that attitude of excellence. And effectively, this is what we're known for now. We are known as one of the leading WordPress agencies in the UK, in Europe, and one of a handful globally. And, I truly believe God had to shift something in me. And, I went through, I showed you a picture of the early days in that sort of small office in Wigan. The sort of visual is quite sort of dark, but actually the emotional feeling for me is quite dark as well. I went through a season of proper depression, like really, really depressed. And I think one of the root causes of that was just purely vision. It was just purely, I'm trying to sell this thing, but I have no idea what I'm selling. And when someone says to me, okay, so tell me why you? I don't know, because I want money. Like, what am I supposed to say to you? Like, but, if you shift that perspective, the perspective moves from, just because to, well, actually, these are the 5 key reasons why. And effectively, the conversation you can have is, confidently, I can change your business. Confidently, I can change the income the leads that you generate, just as Alex was saying before. I can change that top of the funnel. I can change how many leads come into your business through what we do. And yeah, I think in terms of I just want to sort of encourage you in that you really don't have to do what everyone else does. Like, that specialist perspective is really important. Don't do what everyone else does just because everyone else is doing it. Because when you come to a marketing conversation, you can sell what you do by saying, well, we do it this way, and we do this, not we just do the same as everyone else does, so choose us, because that's not really a conversation to be having. Which of these things on the screen are more important? If you could only choose one, awesome. So for us, again, talking about excellence, team first, it's just been mentioned on the video. Actually, putting team first and putting a high-quality product or service first is the thing that ultimately will drive clients or customers into your business. Because without a really good product or without a really good service, you do not have customers. Think about it this way. You've got an amazing set of customers. You've got a customer base that you can sell to, and you say to them, buy this. And you haven't really, described what it is. But let's say you trick them into buying it, and they say yes. I've got nothing to give you. Like, what sort of scenario really is that? That's an extreme version of, I'm going to build this up and tell you that we do this amazing thing, but actually we do it quite mediocre. And I really want to encourage you, don't do mediocre. God has not called you to mediocre. We are not called as business people to do things in a mediocre way. We are called to do things in an excellent way. And I can promise you now that doing things in an excellent way is the way to, Alex has just talked about 5 ways. Excellence is the way that you can increase your prices. Excellence is the way that you can get more leads in. You can convert more customers through doing things better because you change the conversation. Well, which of these is more important? I'm just testing you. It's all good. It's basically the same question, but I don't want to isolate product in the conversation. Because what I do, we're a service business, but I don't want to isolate people who do products. How about this? If you could choose one. Experience. How, what you provide to a client or to a customer will always be superseded by how they feel about what you provide to them and the feeling that you leave them with once you're gone. Experience, what a client experiences, what a customer experiences through what you offer is really, really important. Really, really important. So every business needs to stand out, right? Every business needs something that they can say, something that they do, a vision that they can talk about that is their thing. Not just selling cakes, but I sell these style of cakes. I do it in this way. And not just that, I am this sort of person. I had a conversation with a friend who's in business yesterday, and it was a couple of days ago, and he was saying to me, I've had one business, and it failed. And I really, really, really do not want this other business to fail. And the scenario was, I want to go into this industry because this industry has a lot of potential, which I fully back, I fully agree with. That's, making sure you actually have a potential customer base before you start a business is a very sensible thing to do. And I said, okay, what you're actually talking about doing here is a very technical thing, and what you're going to produce is a very, very technical product. So how are you going to provide that technical product? Are you talking packages? Are you saying you're going to sell XYZ package? Or are you going to say, well, actually, what I create for you is something quite bespoke, and it's going to change your business. It's going to change the way that you think. It's going to change your profit margins. It's going to change your leads, your conversions. And the sort of answer was, okay, well, I'm not that technical person. But I was sort of thinking I will try and be that technical person, and I'll try and learn what I need to know in order to get to that place. That answer is exactly what I did when I started the business, because I cannot code, and yet I run a tech company that is primarily development-based. But ask me to code something, and I'm like, no, thank you. I would just completely mess it up. Put it this way, a bank would not trust me to develop anything for them, personally. But what I encouraged them to do was actually play on what their strength was. Because there's a piece in the puzzle that they can give to a business in order to architect a technical solution that can then be delivered. And that's what we do as well. At Illustrate Digital, what we do is actually, I come in from a strategic angle, and I say, okay, let's have a look at all of the sort of, different things you currently do. Let's have a look at the challenges. Let's have a look at the issues you're facing, the vision you want to get to. And I sort of straight up say, is it okay if I tell you you're wrong at any point in this engagement? I pretty much warn them that actually that's what my team will do. So don't just give us a brief. We're not going to follow it exactly as you say. Give us a brief, and we'll maybe rip it apart, maybe do some of it, maybe not do some of it, but what we'll do is actually lead you in a direction that is what you need. Quite often customers will ask for what they want, and what you need to deliver is what they need. They're two very, very different things. And effectively, that's the position that I come at with our clients is, let's have a look at what we can provide to you that is more around what you need and more around what will deliver an end result for your business. The team are then bought based on that decision, not necessarily based on the technical abilities. Because the truth is, the technical abilities of my team, although they are excellent, and that's a piece of work we've done to drive that to a high level, the technical abilities are not really any different to the 3 top competitors I have in my industry. That's not the difference in our business. The difference in our business is the way that we go about what we do. It's what we say about what we do. It's the vision that we have as a business and the results that we talk about, what we can drive from that technical solution. So there's 4 things I want to take you through practically to be able to actually drive excellence in your business, drive excellence in your career, whatever it is that you want to sort of take from this today. So I want you to know how to find your thing, how to know your thing, how to do your thing, and how to sell your thing. And actually, what I want to focus on is not the first 4 things here. It's the your thing bit. It's what is your actual thing. It's not the find, know, do, and sell, because I believe you can't actually do those things effectively until you know what your thing actually is. So, starting at the beginning, finding your thing. I'm just going to take a sip of water. I've never been applauded for drinking water before, so that's pretty cool. I've lost it now. So, how to find your thing is actually quite an interesting one, because it's a little bit, and it's not a little bit, it's a lot backwards. Finding your thing is not about going forwards. Finding your thing is actually about going backwards. And this is a pretty interesting theory, because finding your thing, finding the thing that you are good at, the thing that you are driven by, the thing that is your purpose, your why in life, is actually about where you came from. And it's about the frustrations that you went through, the challenges that you went through, the things that, it's often said, I'm so glad that happened to me because it was terrible, but God taught me a lot through it. And it's exactly that same sort of thinking that is, it's exploring what is it that you've been through, what is it that frustrates you, what is it that you believe deeply about your upbringing, why you've shifted from one thing to another, why you think a different way to how you thought before. That is often the root of your why. There's actually a whole book on this called Find Your Why. Start With Why, by Simon Sinek. I would highly recommend going and grabbing that book. I am not on commission whatsoever for that. But I really believe that if you read that book, you will completely and deeply understand what I'm talking about with that. It actually talks you through the principles of why your why is important and how to actually go and practically find that why. But yeah, that is about finding what has become important to you. And that's a really key question to ask. What has become important to me? Because as I mentioned before, what was important to me when I started the business was that I didn't want to treat people the same way as I'd been treated before. That's enough motivation to see you through growing a business. It really is. But recognizing it is the key to actually using it to drive you through the growth of a business. And actually what I found is it wasn't just that agency that treated me that way when I was sort of, brand side, if you like. It was every other client that came in through our doors and said, I have this issue, I have this problem. For example, I probably won't get too technical with this, but one client came through our doors and said, can you do a quick audit on this website for us? It's literally just been built. This was quite a large company, and we did a Google speed test on the site to measure performance. And for the first time in the history of me doing this, I saw Google rate a site 0 out of 100. And it loaded the site. So I'm like, this is pretty unfair, right? Like, you at least give them a 1. It actually loads. Like, it does perform to some level. And it's actually that sort of thing where I can't reasonably go home at the end of the day and tell myself that we just built a platform or a site that gave a client a 0 speed score rating with Google. Because let's be real, how powerful is Google as an entity? in terms of, driving leads into a business, driving, customers towards a business. If Google is saying your site is 0 out of 100, you're in a pretty dire place. And I cannot go home at night and have on my mind, we just created something that was substandard. I can't do that. I really can't. And the reason I can't do that is because I know exactly how it feels. I know how it feels to be treated that way. And actually, exactly what I'm saying to you here is exactly what I say to our clients. My sales are conversations. My sales are, I completely and deeply understand the problems that you go through because I've been there before. I've been through those problems. I've dealt with those challenges. And actually, still now, I get clients that come to me and say, I have this challenge. Can you please help me? Now, the great thing is, confidently, I can say, yes, we can help you. Because what we've done over time is built that structure that allows us to produce excellence. Again, going back to, we were sat in that dark office up in Wigan. We weren't producing excellence. We were getting themes off the shelf. It was a packaged product, effectively. That's what we produced. It wasn't good. I couldn't actually sleep at night. I couldn't go home and, well, I didn't go home sometimes, but I couldn't go home and not stop thinking about, is that going to fall over? Is that going to fail? And, skip forward to today, can I reasonably deploy and launch a bank website and be going home thinking about whether that's going to fall over and whether that's not going to work? And, I know that's quite like, it's talking about a bank website might be a different level to where you are now. But actually, Joe, can you send someone home with a cake knowing that it doesn't taste great? And it's no different, right? So finding your thing and knowing the reason why you do what you do is super, super important. And yeah, again, I would encourage you to really, really just delve into that. My thing is, so I went through a whole process of exploring this, and I discovered that my thing was about being different. So to sort of illustrate how the sort of you go process that journey, I grew up totally different to anyone else where I lived. I grew up actually in a pretty good home, but the culture around me was gangs, drugs, drinking, all that sort of stuff. And I had chosen to be different. I had chosen that I didn't want that path in life. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do that. And I think in the back of my mind for years, it would be I would move away. I would do something else. And actually, anytime I was ever employed, I would disagree with anything that anyone said because I just thought there's a different way of doing this. There's a better way of doing this. And my exploratory process of knowing what my thing is was all about that. It was actually, that's the point I kept coming back to was I am different. And let's be honest, we're all different. So that's not a difficult conclusion to come to generally. But that won't necessarily be your thing. It was for me. And the conversation we have with our clients is, we are different. Actually, what we're going to produce for you is not something that the rest of the market will produce for you. When we have, and that goes for, us and the competition that we have in a very small pool of specialists in our industry, what we will produce. If you come to me and say, I want what they did, I will say no. Because I do not want to try and produce for you something that someone else has produced, because that is not your solution, that is their solution. And that's not a true solution to a business. That's not a true solution to a problem. It's a solution to someone else's problem that is completely unique to what they do, completely unique to their business. So if there's any graphic designers in the room and someone says, I want a logo like this, I would strongly encourage you to say, no. You can't have a logo like that because that's their logo. That logo has a meaning that belongs to that entity, not to you. Let's explore what your logo means. Let's explore who you are as a brand. Let's explore what you're about, what drives you. yeah, the good clients and the good customers don't want the same as everyone else. Because actually, there's a weird expectation with clients who want the same as everyone else, because you'll never deliver something good enough. Because actually what you've promised them is almost exactly this other thing that is really successful, that, you know, if a bank said to me, let's have something that looks like Lloyds Bank, I'd be like, well, Lloyds Bank are pretty big. And actually, if you want the success of Lloyds Bank, don't do it Lloyds Bank's way. Do it your way, because that's a totally different conversation. What I would end up with if I said yes would be a nightmare client who would only ever want that one thing that I can't deliver to them because I haven't strategized with them, I haven't talked to them about what that thing of theirs is so that I can deliver that for them. Does that make sense? Sweet. And just to make another point on that, it's actually hard to sell if you're the same as everyone else. Like, it's really difficult. If you are the same as everyone else, it's really, really, really hard to sell. It just takes away every opportunity for selling. So, knowing your thing. I've already sort of touched on this, but is there a market for what you do? So you may find your thing, but the next question is there actually a market out there for what you want to do? When I'm saying find your thing, that could equally be the thing you actually deliver or the thing that you believe. But where you need to start is the thing that you believe, and then think about the thing that you deliver. And yeah, then where you need to be thinking about is, actually, is there a market for the thing that I do? Is there a market for what I need? Because, you know, again, let's be honest, if you don't have any customers, then you've got no business. And I think as well, like, know whose problem it solves. So something we've done in our business, and this is a great sort of marketing tip, is actually go away and build a persona around your customers. Understand who they are. Have a think about maybe 2, 3, 4 different individuals and who they are and why they buy what you do, what their individual challenges are around what it is that you do. So, you know, Jane is a marketing executive, and she wants to please her bosses, and she wants to be able to drive leads through the website as quickly as she possibly can. She wants you to do mostly what you tell her to do. She's got really high level of expertise. She just wants someone to deliver. That's persona number 1. Persona number 2 is, I'm an IT director. John is an IT director, and he completely knows what he's talking about, but doesn't have the ability to actually deliver that technical solution because his team are currently rammed full with stuff to do, and they need some external resource to come and help them to do it. Those people who know what is needed will quite often pay a lot more than the people who don't know what is needed, because they value it a lot more. And that's something you can actually build into your personas as well. So knowing what your thing is, and getting deeper into your thing and truly understanding your thing will actually be able to drive, again, more sales into your business. And yeah, just a sort of side point on that, like, understand how to be the leader in your field. Like, knowing your thing is about really knowing your thing. Understand how to be one of those leaders in your field. Like, soak yourself in that knowledge of, this is how to do the most excellent job I possibly can. Because excellence doesn't just come from thinking, I'm going to do an excellent job. It comes from hard work. It comes from consistent learning. Alex said before, it's a yearly thing. Like, you do it once and you start again. Like, you start again every year and you repeat the cycle, because you just need to keep renewing that. You need to keep renewing your mind, keep refreshing, because excellence is not, I did this one excellent thing for years and years and years. It's actually, that excellent thing is now outdated. That excellent thing is not relevant anymore. What is now relevant? What is now excellent? How can I be the leader in what I do? Cool. Still with me? Sweet, just checking. So do your thing. Find the right people to do it. I mentioned before, I told that little story about, you know, if you're the solutions architect, then find the people who'll deliver. Find the right people who will do your thing, because I have managed to somehow wing it over the number of years and build a business that allows complex website solutions to be created, despite the fact that I can't put my hand to a single piece of code. And that is a little bit of a mystery when I speak to other agency owners, because they're like, what do you mean you're not a developer? And you didn't come from that background. But actually, my background, it really just is focusing on excellence. And the thing that shifted in my business was I knew full well about excellence before I started it. But for some reason, when I started a business, I ignored it completely. I don't know why. Still can't tell you why I did that. But the moment I changed that way of thinking, we started to hire people differently. We started to think in a different realm with clients. We started to charge differently. We joked a little bit before about changing prices, but I literally just changed our prices overnight considerably. I added, I think, a third onto our prices overnight. And I think 2 clients left who were paying us maybe about £50 a month from the very, very early days of the business. So, and the new clients that came through the door, they paid the rate. They were like, yeah, of course, cool, no problem. And that honestly amazed me. I'll be honest, it did amaze me. But when you focus on excellence and when you do your thing, actually people will pay for your thing. People will pay you to do what you do because you do it well, not because you do a half-hearted job. Like, that's a half-hearted rate. If you do a really good job, then you can charge really good rates. Some things that go along with that. I talk about, getting the right people to do your thing with you. That doesn't just mean employees. That means, do you have a good accountant? Do you have a good bookkeeper? Because actually a good business looks like good accounts. Yes, it does. Knowing your numbers is doing your thing well. Excellence is the flow throughout the entire business. It's doing every element well. Do you do marketing, and do you have a clue at all about even how to even turn a laptop on? Well, if not, then find someone who knows how to do that stuff. Find someone who does marketing really well. Find someone who can run your IT for you, because there are certain elements of business that need to be done, but they should be done in an excellent way. And if they're done in an excellent way, your business can truly grow. Great. And I think the other thing is, developing excellent relationships. Doing your thing is about getting the right people around you. Alex mentioned before about having someone to challenge him. Totally the right thing to do. Someone who thinks bigger than you do, not someone who thinks the same as you do. Someone who is further down the road than you are, not someone who is further back or thinks the same as you do. You need challenging thinking. You need thinking of excellence. And getting yourself in the right room of people. I talked just briefly this morning about how I really hate networking. And somehow in the last few years, I've managed to grow a business to the level that I have without going to a single networking event that is people just drinking coffee in a room and just oh, hey, nice to meet you. I do this. And, and you walk away and you're like, what was that guy's name? What did he even do? He was some trainee solicitor or something. I don't know. Why was he even there? But, nothing against solicitors, obviously. Get yourself an excellent solicitor. There you go. There's another one. But what I've decided to do is actually sit in the right room of people. So there's only one real networking event that I go to, and that networking event is a business network of directors of larger companies, and it's a sort of round table dinner event. So I can only talk to the person to my right, and I can only talk to the person to my left. And if I do that, I can build a true, valuable relationship with those 2 people rather than trying to remember one of the 20 people that I met that day. And that's a different way of thinking. Actually, relationships, let's be excellent at those 2. Let's be excellent at getting to know someone, because I can promise you that is how I've grown my business. I have grown my business through getting to know people deeply and making sure that when I know those people and those people think of WordPress or website or whatever the buzzword is, that they immediately go, Scott Jones is the guy I need to ring about that. Whenever they hear that word, whenever they have that need, they think about me, because actually extended network is much more powerful than individual brief connections with lots of people. And then selling your thing. Allow people to buy from you. That's a really, really simple statement, but so flipping profound. Like, actually allow people to buy from you. Like, the whole premise of what I've just said to you, if you know your thing and you can articulate that well as to why it solves a need for someone, you're allowing them to buy from you. You're opening the door to let them buy from you. Allowing the right people to buy from you is also extremely important. One of the best things I ever learned was how to qualify out. And what I mean by that is the temptation to trying to sell to every single lead that your business gets is ridiculous and also a very stupid idea, because that's the best way to waste your time as a business owner. It's the best way to waste time as a salesperson. It's the best way to have a really low conversion rate on leads, because actually I'm going to tell you a really sneaky way to have a great conversion rate on leads. It's to not count some of them as leads. It's to say, actually, that person who doesn't want to pay for what I do is not a lead, and I didn't spend time on them. So actually, one of the first questions I ask someone, I don't go straight in there, but one of the first questions is, so what's your budget for this project? And actually, this is a really, really simple conversation to have. Someone calls you up and says, I want this. Someone sends you an email and says, I want this. The most tempting thing to do today, 2019, is to email them back and say, okay, let's have a little look at what we can do for you. And then to only ever have a back and forth conversation with someone by email, never have spoken to them, and then spend the next 3 days creating a proposal and send that proposal over to them, only to learn that when you wanted to charge them £10,000 for something, they only had a budget of £100, and you just spent 3 days worth of time producing something for someone who never valued what you do in the first place. Actually, that's the best way to convert leads, is to first just qualify them out completely. The other side of that is not just about cost, it's about, do you need what I can provide to you, or do you need something different that I can't provide to you? Because there's nothing wrong with a bit of challenge, and there's nothing wrong with saying to someone, yeah, I'll have a go at that. I do truly believe we can do that. But there's definitely something wrong with going, we've never done that before, and I'm really nervous about doing it, but I really need the money, so I'm just going to do it anyway and not do it in an excellent way. Like, actually, that is a total waste of your time, a total waste of your team's time, if you have a team, if you get to the point of having a team. One of the key things for me, and I talked about it earlier on, is the team are really important to me. The team in my business are really, really super important. The team are actually more important to me than clients, because if the team aren't happy, they don't produce good work, and good work doesn't lead to good clients. And the way that I can produce good relationships internally with people who are passionate about the business, who want to grow it with me, is actually to give those people good work to do and not say to them, I've just dumped a task on you that you've never done before. You have to go and figure it out. I'm not going to give you any training to do it. I'm not going to give you any insight. You can just go away and figure it out, and ultimately just fail with the client and make them feel really bad about it. Like, actually, that's not the greatest way to either sell to clients or to encourage your team. So, what sounds better? We do it like everyone else, or we do it like nobody else? Because you've changed the conversation, right? You're allowing people to buy from you. You're opening that door. It works like everything else, or it works like nothing else. Two very different things. Here's one, Joe. You ready for this? It tastes like everything else, or it tastes like nothing you've ever tasted before. how much do you want to eat that cake right now? It tastes like nothing you've ever tasted before. You've changed the conversation completely because of excellence. Because you can't say that if it's not excellent, right? You can't say it tastes like nothing you've ever tasted before, or it works like nothing you've ever, used before, if actually it's not excellent. If actually, truly, the answer is it just works the same as everything else does. I've got nothing else to say to you. It just works the same as everything else. Who's buying that? I'm not buying it. Let's be honest. You're not buying that. Cool. So, focus on your thing. It all comes back to your thing, what your purpose is, your reason why. And, to make a bit of an obvious point, to be your thing, it's got to be something you're passionate about. It can't just be anything. It can't just be, I want to start a business, so I'm going to do this random thing. Don't spend the next 10 years of your life doing something that you're not passionate about. That is a waste of 10 years. Don't spend the next 10 years of your life doing something based on not knowing what you believe in. Because that's a waste of 10 years. And that's why I sort of encourage you to first focus on, what do I believe? What is my vision? Where do I want to focus? How do I want to be excellent? And then actually execute that, because if there's nothing wrong with taking a bit of time over that. I needed to do that. I was partway into the business, and I needed to stop and say, okay, I'm just going to evaluate where we are. I'm going to stop trying to sell because it's not productive. I'm going to start thinking about how we sell. I'm going to start thinking about what we sell, and then I can go back and have a much more productive conversation about selling that thing and opening that door for people to buy. So ultimately, excellence will help you sell. And yeah, I think to sort of round off, there are two ways that I can explain my business to you, and they are quite different. So we build websites. And how boring am I? I actually found myself saying that quite a lot. What do you do? Oh, we build websites. And that closed the conversation down straight away. I'm not talking about a new client conversation, by the way. That's totally different. But if I met someone and they said, what do you do? My answer would be, oh, yeah, we build websites. And every so often I'd be like, we build good websites. But actually changing that conversation, what I now say is, well, not to bore you, but we strategize, we design, we go through a whole wireframing process to help make decisions about user journeys, user flow. And then we go into a development process that is of the highest standards in not just the country, but the world. And then we test that process. We make sure that it's completely accessible, that it works, that it's not going to fail, that there's multiple redundancies behind it. And then we deploy that into a live environment. We put it out there on the internet. We test it. We make sure it performs well. We make sure that it's completely, going to work for your business. And all the while, we do that with a total attitude of what is the right thing for you, what is the right thing for your business, because you're a marketer and actually what you want is content freedom. Well, the back end of our product has loads of content freedom, because what you can do in the product is this, that, totally changes the conversation. We don't build websites, we build experiences. And those experiences leave people feeling a certain way. Thank you.